welcome to Three Martini Lunch live, powered by Rockstar Connect. It's been a long time since we've been on. It's been a full week since I've connected with any of you, and I'm glad to be back. I know everyone has been doing exciting things. I'm especially happy to see our friend Marjorie Saulson, who I think you were on one of either the first or the second panel way back when. Now we're either at number 25 or number 26 of these. So we have a lot of great information that's been filmed and distributed all over the country. For your benefit, Marjorie, just to explain to you what our structure is, we use the Success is Contagious structure for this event. In the first round, we go and we discuss what has been our success for the week, what is our definition of success, and that tells us a lot about you and what's important to you and why people should do business with you or even listen to you. In the second round, we have a question and a topic that I don't tell you to the second round, so you're caught a little unawares.
I'm so nervous.
And is that okay?
It's fine.
I won't make you necessarily go first for that portion.
Uh-huh.
But I'm sure you'll have a good answer for it, too. So a couple successes on my end. I want to thank Ray. Ray, I had a conversation with your daughter. Did she let you know?
She did. She did.
I'm very
excited for both of you.
We're very excited, and we had a long conversation, and she spoke to a lender today, and she's seriously looking into North Carolina, which is a beautiful place, and then hopefully we'll get you to move out here as well.
Maybe, right? We'll see.
Maybe. It's a definite maybe.
Definitely maybe.
Adam Bricker, I'm sorry I couldn't get on a call this morning. I was out showing property early this morning. Not to mention, we have a little puppy here in the house right now. Did you guys know we have a puppy? And it wakes up. Now, the first night it went to sleep. He went to sleep right away. Now he gets up every single hour, starting at 2 in the morning, and starts crying to go outside. And once he comes in, the only way I can get him to calm down is to sing to him.
What song?
Well, at 3 o'clock in the morning, you're almost making up songs because I can't even remember the ABCDs. But I did, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Stars, ABCs, Rockabye Baby. And for some reason, he'll calm down. As soon as I stop singing, he'll start crying. I would think it would be the other way around, but until he falls asleep. But we bought this really cool piece of technology that should hopefully work tonight. It's called a Snuggle Puppy. And the Snuggle Puppy comes with a heart that ticks and beats like a real heart that you put inside of this stuffed doll. And there's also a heating pad, so it feels like it's another warm puppy. And
well, wish you all the best.
Thank you. We purchased it on Amazon. And 9,000 people have purchased this product, and they said it really seems to work. I'm thinking maybe we should get one for Sarah and myself when we can't sleep for our bed, like with a pounding heart and everything else. But dogs right now, if you've been going on Facebook lately, you'll notice not everyone, that's a big exaggeration, that's a lot of hyperbole, but a lot of people are adopting pets, whether they be rescues or they're buying them from breeders. In here in North Carolina, there's actually a shortage of adoptable dogs, which is amazing. I'm just hoping that people realize how much responsibility, cost, and expense is associated with a dog, and none of those dogs end up in shelters. Mm-hmm. On our end, we take dogs very serious in this house, and don't tell the kids, but we may like them more than the kids.
They don't talk back as much.
Well, they don't. They have much nicer fur than the kids. They're much softer when you pet them, and you can pick them up and put them where you want them to be. So it looks like we have a full house. So Marjorie, do you want to answer the question about your success for the week later on, or do you want us to jump in right with you today?
Oh, well, you can start it with me. Yeah, so anyway, I'm a communication confidence coach. And this past weekend, I was at a virtual retreat with Marisa Murgatroyd and working on my upcoming launch. And Marisa shared something very interesting if you're launching, that when you do a 5-day challenge ahead of time, you get 40% higher investment in your program. So my program is Communication Confidence Mastery. So my win, I guess, is that I've decided to do a 5-day challenge before that. And I had done a challenge on the effortless elevator pitch, but I'm switching it to how to create a compelling online elevator pitch when you have to introduce yourself to people online, because so many people are struggling with how to relate to people online. You can't do your standard thing that we all learned when we first went into business. So what do you do? That answer. So I'm really excited about that, because my mission really is to help people bust out of the jail of their comfort zone and get over the fear of sharing what they do. Because, everybody has gifts to share, and when they can't speak them, then they don't share them. So I'm very excited about the possibilities opening up that can help more people.
And how is it out there in the Midwest?
Right now, it's sunny and lovely. I'm from Motown, everybody. And by the way, Berry Gordy did not invent that term. It's the abbreviation for Motor Town, in other words, Detroit. And it's lovely right now. It's cool. We've got fall weather, but
soon to be winter, I imagine. I think you should connect with Adam Bricker. Raise your hand there, Adam. So Adam has been working recently with a lot of authors that are doing virtual events, and they may want some tips.
Actually, that's interesting, because one of my clients is an author, and she's really worried about going out and promoting her book.
Well, Adam can help with that. He has a great product for promoting books.
Well, she's worried about doing the events herself. I wasn't aware.
Well, she needs to reach out to Rockstar Connect. We can help her with that. We have a great authors 10-city tour we can put together for her and arrange all the events. Well, thank you so much for being back with us, Marjorie.
I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, so on Facebook yesterday, an ad was put into my feed, and it was for sports coats, of all things. Like men are going to buy sports coats right now. I said, in the Zoom culture, I said, this is absolutely perfect. I could wear that sports coat and absolutely no pants, and nobody would know the difference.
By the way, is it something in your modus operandi, Steve, that everybody puts their information in the chat so we can...
Yeah, you can do whatever you'd like in the chat. If you say something out loud verbally, Sarah will put it in the chat for you as well. Yeah, please do. Please do put it in the chat. And share this challenge. And of course, if you have a challenge that's going on and you want to send us an email to Rockstar Connect, we'll help you promote that as well.
Thank you.
Put that out, especially in the areas that you're interested in. So, Mark, Sher, we're going to come to you early this week if you're ready. What has been your great success for this week, the last 7 days?
Oh, my great success for the last 7 days was I was a speaker with Les Brown, Brian Tracy, Nick Bolletary, and about 10 or 15 other substantial motivators, speakers, educators on the Legends and Masters Summit, which ran from Friday through Sunday. And as you know, Stephen, Rockstar Connect was a sponsor of that.
Yeah, it was a great event, and I'm glad you were able to speak. Did you get to speak to quite a bit of people virtually?
Well, basically, I think I did the first day lunch 11:05 to 12:05, and there was about 225 people, separate identities that were asking questions on the chat. So I was happy.
That's amazing. It's today when we talk about a crowd of 25 people, it seems enormous. When you say 250 people, that's more people than were in the NFL stadiums.
I remember saying these were unique people. There were thousands of people watching.
Right.
These were people that specifically asked questions and wanted to get in touch with us. So I found that very exciting.
That was probably more people than were watching any NFL game this weekend. Potentially, or at least definitely for next weekend. That's a great success. Congratulations. Rhonda out in California. Rhonda Sher. So you said you were going to be late, and you weren't late. You were right on time. So I got a call today from someone from Australia that you sent my way. Unfortunately, I couldn't speak to him at the moment, but he's going to call around 5 to talk about what virtual events or actual physical events.
Yeah, virtual events. He's pretty amazing.
Well, I'm looking forward to speaking to him. Thank you for the introduction. What has been your success in the last 7 days?
Well, first I have to say hello to Marjorie, who's one of my clients and one of the most amazing people. So hi, Marjorie. So happy to see you here. I'm very pleasantly surprised. If you don't know Marjorie, you need to check her out. She is phenomenal. So my
you out that I'm 80.
My success is actually pretty interesting. My husband is going to be retiring, and so we are selling our house, and we purchased a house 3 blocks from the beach in Carlsbad, California, and we're closing escrow in less than 60 days. I would say that's pretty big news.
Wow. That's a big success, and it's challenging, to do a transaction right now. So I definitely applaud you on that. Will you be able to walk to the beach 3 blocks? Yeah.
Yes, less than 3 blocks to walk to the beach. We purchased it in an over 55 community. So literally there's a pool, there's a jacuzzi, there's a rec room, there's a library, there's a gym, there's a fire pit, and very, very cool people that we can hang out with and have community.
So in North Carolina, they're very strict with the over 55. You have to be over 55. In California, how are they able to make an exception for you?
Oh, Stephen, I love you. You could be my best friend. Medicare is knocking at my door. Are you kidding me? I don't remember 55.
Listen, Rhonda, just remember what Betty Ford said to Gerald when they left the White House and he was retiring. I married you for better or for worse, but not for lunch.
Okay, I don't get that one, but it went over my head.
It's interesting.
That's because you're not the one who makes the meals in your house.
I make all the meals in the house.
Oh.
I do. I asked my wife, Sarah, I make all the meals in the house.
So does my husband. I have a sign. It says the kitchen came with the house.
Yes, we could probably use that sign here at this house.
That's my
Katie,
and they're taking pictures right now. That's why I was late. My photographer is here taking pictures for our house, since we need to get backup offers in case the offer that we have, which is with the contingency of the sale of their house. So that's kind of where I am. Other than that, just...
Well, I mean, if you were to go on Facebook right now, anybody who has any friends that are real estate agents, they're posting about the real estate market. We get it, guys. The market is hot. We all have friends that are real estate agents, hundreds of them, and they're all saying the market is hot. We know it is. Sarah and I, we have 3 listings coming on this week. So we feel very blessed because it's easy to get buyers now. It's hard to get listings. No, because people want to move, but they don't want to sell their houses. We're going to go jump over to Katie. You heard me calling your name. Katie is in Charleston, South Carolina. I'm sure you've been pretty quiet on social media this week. Now that I think about it.
No, I haven't. I posted actually a ton this week.
So why isn't it showing up in my feed? I got to go and like something.
I think you have to interact with me.
But I always do. Don't I always interact in some form or fashion when you put a post?
I don't know, those algorithms, it shows you who you interact with most first. But no, I've actually posted a bunch this week because we've had a lot going on.
Well, tell us some of the things that are going on.
So for those of you that don't know, I'm Katie Blomquist, and I have a nonprofit called Going Places, and we provide new custom bikes for every single child at once in the low-income elementary schools. And we have a big virtual fundraiser that's free to attend coming up on September 26th. So our gala, which was supposed to be in March, was rescheduled for September 26th. We obviously can't have that. So we've moved that to May 15th of next year. But in place of the gala, we're going to have this virtual fundraiser. It's only 30 minutes. It's from 7 to 7:30 p.m. A week from Saturday. And like I said, it's free to register. We hope, we'll have like a fund the need during it. So there are times to donate during it, which we're hoping will bring in some funds. And we have a silent auction that goes from September 21st through the 27th. So it's for a whole week, which will obviously mention the silent auction during the fundraiser. But one of my dad's good friends from college is a Magic Castle magician. And I don't know if you know what the Magic Castle is, but it's like world-renowned magicians. He was/is going to be flying in for our actual gala because he's also an auctioneer. So he'll be performing, world-renowned magic and an auctioneer. Well, he's going to also host the virtual gala with me. So he'll be doing some really cool magic during it. We're going to debut our brand new branding video, which talks all about Going Places, how it was started and what we do. You'll hear from Jawan, the little boy that inspired Going Places, in a little video of him and his grandma talking about our relationship over the last 5 years and, the impact Going Places has on the community. So please register if you are interested in coming. Like I said, it's free to attend. It's a great way to learn more about what we're doing and why. And if you, feel compelled to donate, we would love that. Every little bit means a lot. $4 buys a lock, $6 buys a helmet. It's so simple to give a little and have it go a long way. And then the second half of what's going on. Oh, and a good news thing. I was on Low Country Live today, which is our local ABC kind of mid-morning talk show. So I got to go on and promote it on there today, which was great. And then secondly, I also have an LLC where I have an online course where I teach people how to start their own nonprofits. Well, I've decided, due to popular request, I have a second section to this now where it's an a la carte version, because some people come to me and they already have a nonprofit started, but they don't need everything that my course has to offer, which is 18 lessons. So this option lets you select a minimum of 3 lessons to download. And with that one-time download comes 3 one-on-one coaching sessions with me throughout the 90 days you have to use those. And so it's, a way to get what you need and not have to sign up for the whole course.
That's fantastic. Marjorie, so you haven't met Katie before, but Katie, runs her own not-for-profit that goes into schools, and they buy the entire school, every child, a bicycle.
That's wonderful. So nobody beats anybody else up to get a bicycle.
Yes.
Isn't that right? And then she's also has her own course and program where she teaches people how to start their own not-for-profit, but also do all the marketing and everything else associated with it.
Because there's a lot more than just starting it. Like my nonprofit has gone like truly viral, not just media attention, like actual viral. And I've been able to keep up with national media following up and flying in to cover us every year since, which is, unheard of. And there's things that I've been doing I don't see other people doing. And I want to share that. I want to help people this isn't like a competition to me. I want, so there's enough money to go around. So I want to help people kind of get their nonprofit to the same place that mine has gotten to in a short amount of time.
Excellent. I think you could probably both pass some clients to one another and make some referrals to one another. Doesn't that sound great, Marjorie?
Yeah, well, it also reminds me, because I was what I call a professional volunteer for several decades. Yeah. And I came up with a definition of a volunteer, especially a professional volunteer. A professional volunteer is someone who gets aggravated for free.
This is they volunteer for it 100%.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it's wonderful, and it's so wonderful to feel. I was active for many years with the Detroit Symphony Orchestra, which does when we raised a lot of money for music education because so much of it was cut out of the schools. So.
Oh yeah, that's great. That's very needed still.
It looks like you have a lovely view out your window for sure out there.
Oh yeah, Marjorie. I do.
And Jackie's working out on, I guess you're on your rear balcony, correct?
I am.
So
In a
Jackie,
sweater. I never thought I would be in a sweater this time of year, but I am. And it's beautiful out today.
Where
that's
are you,
wonderful.
Jackie?
Jackie is in Raleigh, North Carolina, right just down the street from us. In fact, I helped her find her place, so I know her place pretty well. That's why I can tell you what balcony she's in. So Jackie and her husband Derek, they have their own foundation, and they do great things to help young people and even older people get grants for university that they don't have to pay back, so they don't go into debt. Jackie, can you share some successes that you've had in the last week?
Oh, it's been a really, really busy week, but all is good. I am really happy to announce yet another major contribution came in to support another need-based scholarship. I'm so thrilled about this one. I could just lose it, as I am about all of them, but this one's pretty special. And I am just leaving. I hopped on a little bit late today because it was a blessing to reconnect with someone that I met at a luncheon about 3 years ago. And we have now entered into a new partnership for the foundation, and I am just thrilled. It is a credit union that actually focuses on historical entities in the state of North Carolina, and I am thrilled to be only the second partnership that this credit union is connecting with, and I am thrilled. I'm almost speechless today. My words are all twisted because it's just been so many blessings this week. But those two things are blessings, success, whatever you want to label them. But I'm just excited. I'm really excited. And out of that, I have several projects going on. And if you are Jeff Messer, you know what I'm talking about. I've probably blown his brain out of spot over the last week telling him about all of these projects I want to do. Well, out of this partnership with this credit union comes another thing, a beautiful space that's donated to me to do anything that I choose to do in. So I'm excited about, I've seen photographs, but I'm excited to be going there next week to take a look at this space. So this has just been, it's been an incredible week, but one of the highlights of my week happened on Sunday. While I was living in New York, I attended the oldest Baptist church in the state of New York. It is in Manhattan, and the pastor is a woman, and she is from Charlotte, North Carolina, but she's also a stand-up comedian, an author, and a cancer survivor. And her book, by the way, is called Laugh Your Way to Grace. And I just found this church online because I realized even though it's a Baptist church, people from all over the world who are visiting the city would stop there to come to worship. And they contacted me and asked if I would be the virtual scripture reader for Sunday service, and it was amazing to reconnect with all of those people that I spent 5 years worshiping with, and to see all of the growth there within. It's Madison Avenue Baptist Church, so if you get a chance, take a look at it online. It's a place for all people. And that was just very special to me to be able to share those scriptures with them. So it's been like a really great week, and I just feel blessed, completely blessed.
Well, it sounds like everyone's having a real positive week, and that's fantastic. Let's jump. I'm going to jump up to the top of the board on my screen. I don't know where you're sitting on anyone else's screen, but Clint, we saw you last week. You had a great week last week. What are some of your successes for yourself or clients this week?
First of all, what's going on, everybody? Jackie, we need to get together soon, like in person. So it's been too long since I've seen you. So we need to do that. And I got to mention this, Jeff Messer's video quality, it all puts all of us to shame. So everybody needs to step their game up here. So major success for this week was The golf tournament that we were able to pull off yesterday. We normally have about 6 to 8 months to prepare sponsors to get teams in to make sure the facilities are all used well. And we had 2 months to pull it together. And we had more sponsors than we did last year. We had more players than we did last year. It looked a little bit different, but it was a massive success. And so Stephen Dunn and Mandy Owen and David Cross over at Graphic Solutions in Apex and the rest of their team just did a fantastic job. So that's my success for the week, and that was yesterday. So pretty quick.
Did you win the tournament?
Say what?
Did you win the tournament?
The goal was to win the tournament, so I stacked my team, but people spend more money than I did on mulligans and all this other kind of stuff that you can buy for the charities and whatnot. So no, we didn't win. We came in 10th out of 43, so I'll take that. So it's not bad, especially when we won most beers drank last year.
So that was going on yesterday. I was at Governor's Club yesterday.
Yeah, it was going on yesterday at Governor's Club. It was all day. We started at 8 o'clock and left at about, I don't know, I'd say 4:35.
Yeah, I've been in the last 4 days. I think I've been into every major golf course in the Triangle and a little bit beyond.
Well, man, you forget how big those houses are up at the Governor's Club.
Yeah, but you can get into Governor's Club at a pretty low entry price into considering the quality of the golfing there, you can get into that community for as little as $500,000.
Mm-hmm. Well, little fun fact, Stephen, I used to do rose gardens, work for Witherspoon Rose Culture, who is big here in the Triangle. And I was 18 years old when we started doing stuff at the Governor's Club, because that's when they first kind of opened up. And they sent us to school to learn how to use dynamite. So that was pretty awesome.
It is pretty awesome.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
I wasn't aware that you were familiar with roses.
Oh yeah.
You should really, speak with Sarah about it, because she's interested in.
Yeah, I still have my horticulture license. So
really,
yeah. I enjoy all that stuff.
Learn about that.
I'd be more than happy to.
During COVID, it's like plants and animals and everything. Nature is so much more important. I think that COVID has single-handedly saved 25% of the country clubs in the country that were underpopulated. Now they're getting more people joining them, more people playing golf, tennis, racquetball, and everything else in between. I think let's go to Rena. Rena's always a lot of fun. Hi,
hey.
Welcome back.
Well, thank you. It's great to be back and to see all you familiar faces now, and so excited to meet Marjorie. I think we have a lot in common, Marjorie. I'm looking forward to having a connect with you. I'm a voice, speech, and presentation coach as well. This week, I have 2 successes. On Monday, I launched my first ever Speak Like a Pro Academy. It's a 10-week intensive for 10 people, and we do a deep dive into the creation of a speech, the presentation of a speech, and then how do you find the gigs to present the speech. And so I was real excited to get that off the ground. And then on Thursday, I'm doing a continuing legal education for Oklahoma Bar Association called The Expressive Attorney. We're doing it on Zoom. There should be several hundred people on the call, and I'm pretty excited about that. So those feel like 2 big victories this week for me.
Oh, that's great, except for all those attorneys. 100 attorneys?
Actually, I went into working with attorneys with a bit of trepidation, and I have discovered that the big majority of them are really out to do the best they can for their clients. I've been pretty impressed.
I've done a few private events for attorneys that have been a lot of fun, because they are extremely verbal people and witty and fun. And although you may not want to be in their office or in court with them, they are fun to socialize with, 100%. Yeah, well, we'll make sure that you get Marjorie's information so that you two can have that connection.
I would love that.
So much synchronicity here in our group.
Yeah, I put my information in the chat. Rena, have you?
I haven't yet, but I'm going to.
But,
thank you for the reminder.
Yeah, because I always like to save the chat, because rather than trying to type and get one letter wrong so you can never reach the person, copy and paste are my favorite things.
Right? Me too.
Oh, there's, this group, there's so many accomplished, speakers and coaches and trainers and professionals. It's a pleasure to be in. I guess we're in the same Zoom room together.
Mm-hmm.
So Adam, you've been working towards some great successes this week. What has been, or are we there yet? Did you share with us?
We have 3 courses that went live this week for my clients and myself. Number 1 course is to improve your memory. This is Paula Oleska out of Manhattan. She teaches people certain simple techniques. She actually calls it mental hygiene. And if you wanted to improve your memory, her course launches on Friday. And then we have Katie Wagner, Kathy, out of the west coast of Florida. She teaches people how to not get lost in their loss, especially people who have lost family members during this COVID or other situations. There's a lot to do with people who are losing family members who can't be with them in their last moments. And apparently it's pretty traumatic. So she helps with that. And then my course launched as well. I'm on the platform with Tony Robbins and Dean Grazioso. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that yet, but I launched a course on how to put your brand in their hand, actually putting my digital business cards into play for people who are creating courses to get them more traffic so people can take their courses. So those are my...
So I got the last 2 courses. I forgot. What was the first course?
Yep. Good one.
I had to wait to do that one.
Yeah.
And what about your award, your handshake award? Golden.
So I'm up for the award for the Golden Handshake for all my networking and my introductions and my connections. Voting is over. So if you voted for me, thank you. And if you didn't vote for the other person, thank you too. And there's a whole awards presentation on September 26th. It's called the Golden Carpet. And I don't know if I've won or not. I won't find out until the night of the event.
Ooh, on pins and needles. That's wonderful, but on pins and needles.
Yeah.
We won an award 2 years ago, Rockstar Connect as a company. We were at the airport, and people started shooting me these texts and saying, congratulations. We didn't even know we were nominated, because if we had known we were nominated, we would have stuffed the ballot box.
There you go.
But
I did my best to stuff that ballot box.
Yeah, we had no idea, so it was a clean win for sure. Jeff Messer, let's go up to the corner. So Clint says he likes your video, so that means it's not free. Ooh, it did freeze. It did freeze for a second. Yep. It's not freezing this week. But
that was called a mix.
Okay, so Jeff, I got your email, or was it a text? I'm going to review the great video that you did for us later tonight when I'm half awake and half alive, before I have to start singing to the puppy again to get the puppy to sleep. But what are some successes and wins that you've had this week?
Sure. So there's a lot going on in the business, and for what it's worth, it feels like the marketing market is starting to wake up a little bit as well. A lot of folks have been on budget freezes, and companies very reticent to put money behind new marketing campaigns. But what I want to highlight this week is a process that many people refer to as continuous improvement. It's a very intentional process where you are constantly kind of studying and understanding how your business is changing, or how even a process is changing. And the learnings that Enreach has been able to garner over the past, I would say, 2 to 3 weeks has probably been very transformational for the business. So even though it doesn't sound like a big success, I could probably go into new client acquisition, things like that. I really want to highlight the process of learning and how that continuous improvement intentionality is making big changes, and yet a very young business that is yet to reach its full potential. Well,
I think that your marketing strategy has been fantastic, because you were new to this market with a new product and a new endeavor, and everyone seems to know who you are. And so you're having success. They should definitely be hiring you if they want to be well known too. So that's my little endorsement there for you. Do you agree?
Well, thank you, Stephen. And we believe in putting out great content, right? And I don't do any paid advertisements. I haven't done anything in terms of sponsorship other than obviously with Rockstar Connect and consideration in kind type sponsorships. But if we put great content out and show folks that you don't have to spend $8,000 a minute for great video content, then hopefully it'll come back to us tenfold.
Well, Rockstar Connect is very grateful to Enreach and Jeff Messer for being a sponsor of our 3 Martini Lunch physical face-to-face live event that we've been doing here in Raleigh. They videotaped the first 2 events and put some great stuff together, and they're going to be at our 3rd event as well. They just keep on gathering more content. And what's going to be interesting is once we have a few, months of that in the can, what is it going to end up being? Because we don't know at the end what it's going to be necessarily utilized for.
Well, that's just it. And going back to the comments about continuous improvement, any video journey begins with the first step, like any journey, right? Every long journey begins with that first step. And you don't library, or you don't create a library of exceptional content in a week or 2 weeks even. So the more we go to your events, the more we're able to collect interesting testimonials, little sound bites, little interesting side comments or side conversations. And then as that content builds, we're able to put together more promotional content, testimonial reels, and highlight reels. So agreed. We'll keep doing them. And hopefully in the next month or 2, we'll be able to put out a full library of ways to promote the advantages of participating in content. Rockstar Connect.
That's great. Rhonda, he has like 6 testimonials for the LinkedIn page about Rockstar Connect, at an event where people are really excited. And so that'll be really cool. We'll get that. Alan will get that over to you soon.
Yeah, if you send them to me, Jeff, I'll add them to the profile.
Yeah, so you guys know, most of you know Sarah and myself. And Sarah is the co-creator of Rockstar Connect and co-founder of Rockstar Connect, and she's the producer of this program and creates all the processes that enables us to run several companies that we own and run. 4 companies. She makes it happen. But we also have an entire staff here in the United States that are fantastic. I mean, you guys have met Kim. And overseas, we have Alan and Adeline and Robert and Alan, and they're listening to this program right now, and Jackie, and they make things happen. So if there's ever any help you need in your business as far as promotion or marketing or branding, we have an incredible team on staff that can help you with that. Now, Jeff is a sponsor of our 3 Martini Lunch, and Jacqueline has been a sponsor of the 3 Martini Lunch live physical event. And I just want to put out there, we actually have our highest level of sponsorship for that event is very inexpensive. It's actually $1,000. And not only are you a sponsor of the event, you get 10 tickets to the event. So right there, that's $550 of your 1,000 sponsorship is paying for 10 tickets. And if you would like, Rockstar Connect will actually distribute those tickets for you. So you can tell us what industry you would like to meet. If you want to meet insurance agents or realtors or financial people or people that own small businesses, and part of your sponsorship, Rockstar Connect will go through our vast list and select those people to come to the event. So then it's sort of like you're going to a networking event where it's like shooting fish in a barrel, because there's going to be 10 people there that you want to meet and you want to do business with. So keep that in mind. I think almost everyone here who's local has been to the event. We've had people come from out of town, and I would love for Katia to come to our next event. Katia, I'm going to come to you in a little bit. I'm going to leave you for last, make you sit there for a while. I'm pointing at everyone today. Ray Fuentes out in California. So it's a big giant giant red ball of fire in Sacramento, correct?
Well, not in Sacramento, but on all along the coast. And there's a tremendous amount of smoke. And I read today that it's been blown all the way to New York. So I'm sorry for the inconvenience for those folks on the East Coast. And
yeah, I saw my first, they were showing someplace in California, my first fire tornado. I never knew there was such a thing. But if if you're listening out there, go look up fire tornado. You've never seen something so scary in your life. And apparently, they're not uncommon. They happen frequently. It's just rare that people get them on video. And this is really a tornado with flames. So instead of sharks in the tornado, it's flames going around in a circle. So what successes have you had this week? I know that, can I say that, so Ray, during COVID, when he couldn't do live events, he reached out to every single person that went to his event and did video interview one-on-ones. What do you guys think of that? That's pretty incredible, right? So we have mailing lists from other events that we've done not too far away from him, and we've supplied him with those lists so that he can interview those people as well.
They're next.
They're next. So how many interviews are you going to end up with? It's going to be a lot of interviews.
Well, ultimately, my goal is to have one a week. So in the next year, about 50. So
is there one question that you ask every single person that or is it different for every person?
It's mostly the same. It's less about their business and more about them. So I have a couple of interviews. For example, one gentleman had done stand-up comedy when he was younger. And so, I Google their names. Like I would Google your name, say, for example, and something would come up, whether it's on Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever, and then I pop that question. So tell me a little bit about your, comedy career. And they're not expecting it. So that's actually the best part, because again, it's not about their business.
Cool. Have you done stand-up comedy yourself?
No.
No.
I know I'm funny, but I usually sit down when I'm.
You have a very dry sense of humor and friendly. I'm trying to think, of the type of humorist. Like you could do like Jim Gaffigan sort of stuff.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, everyone
I take that as a compliment.
Yeah. Hot pockets. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I want to say I'm going to go back to successes, but what I want to say is earlier this year, when there was a tremendous amount of lockdown in the California area in Sacramento, we couldn't even show houses, and that may be true where you are as well. But I was very fortunate. There were some agents from the East Coast that referred business to me here in California, and that was very exciting because I got business out of it. But this week, I'm very excited to have referred 2 people in this last week to folks. One to you, Stephen, and one to another gentleman in Florida. So I'm very excited about the opportunity to refer business out. I know you can see that I'm a realtor. I talk about being a realtor, but I'm also I truly embrace the Rockstar Connect opportunity to connect people. So.
I mean, it's fantastic. I think a lot of people during COVID are really learning the power of referral, not only to help people in their network, but it can help them financially as well.
Absolutely.
By making referrals. Ideal, like in real estate, when I started off, a decade ago in real estate at Coldwell Banker at their convention, they had a gentleman on who was from Arkansas in a city with under 600 people. And he did 7 figures a year in referral business just by making sure that he met real estate agents all over the country. Wherever he went, he looked and sought out real estate agents, and he made a 7-figure income simply by connecting people and helping and assisting. There's a lot going on in the real estate industry with, and fear of agents that they're going to be replaced by digital. I think the only agents that are going to be replaced by digital are agents that allowed themselves to be replaced by digital. Because there will always be people that want a certain level of service that only an agent can provide for them. But I think a lot of exciting things are coming on in all sorts of industries because of this situation with COVID. We don't even know how it's really going to impact us and in what way. Thank you, Ray. Yes?
I'm sorry, but what we're doing right now is actually very interesting in the idea that we're networking with people all over the United States and with all kinds of different businesses. And I don't think this, would have happened as quickly as it did if it weren't for the fact that, we were, trapped at home.
Yes, and I think that this particular group, this panel, the people that come every, we have some people that may stay out for a couple of weeks and come back. There are a certain type of people. They're Rockstar Connect people. So they've gone to events. Like, Adam wasn't a host, but he had gone to many Rockstar Connect events. And once you realize that we don't have a lot of, there's no selfishness or you think about other people first, you're going to be very successful in this type of environment. We're not speaking over one another. We're not trying to one-up one another. This is completely collaborative here. Everyone is a star on this program. Everyone is a rock star. The hosts are rock stars, and the attendees are rock stars. I know Clint has to leave at 3. He has to leave at 3:30. Okay, Clint, I'm aware of that. So when we get to the second round, we'll have you go answer near the front. It's a great question. So next we have Domenic. And Domenic is a great guy here from North Carolina, very involved in the networking community. He's a Rockstar Connect host. But not only that, he is the host of the North Carolina Giant Rockstar Connect Mixer. And he does that every 2 weeks. He uses the Successes Contagious structure. And not only that, he was voted the world's greatest lover. So we're very happy
by a panel of one, really.
By a panel of one.
And he doesn't give it up.
So we're so happy. Well, Clint just reminded me to add that part in.
Thanks, Clint. I appreciate it, man. Good looking out.
He said, I got to leave at 3:30, and don't forget Domenic is the world's greatest lover.
So a panel of two. Okay, great.
Panel of two. And Heather, told Clint. So we're all good. So what has been,
settle down there.
It's sort of funny because during COVID, there's sort of been an ebb and a flow. There was at the beginning, where we were all like, oh, what do we do? What do we do? And then we started doing stuff. And the people that did stuff, just by the fact that they were doing stuff, they were successful. They were having success in their business. And then there was a period of time oh my God, we're this is the worst. This is awful. How am I going to do? I mean, I'm doing business, but I'm not doing the business I want to do in the way I want to do it. And
3 weeks turned into 3 months.
When the 3 weeks turned into 3 months. And now we're just sort of this is all ending pretty soon anyway. We've learned a lot of skills. We can't wait to apply what we've learned to our businesses, to our social lives, to our family. And we're at that spot. And I know, Domenic, you've probably gone through that whole entire roller coaster that I'm talking about, right?
Not only have I gone through the roller coaster, but I've gone through the
I'm having a hard time hearing you. A little louder.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've gone through the roller coaster with not just my... Is it bad?
Now we can't hear you at all. You're gone. Nada. Hey, we're going to go to Katia. You get back on because I want to hear what you have to say. Try it again. I think I hear you. Okay, we're going to go over to Katia. So Katia's had the biggest successes of them all this week. She had a lot of challenges through COVID because she had a lot of big plans, and she had to reevaluate how she was going to do those things, and she's had great success. I don't want to take away all your thunder, but do you want to share your success for the week?
Yes. So I got married,
And despite, you know, the cancellation of the party and family not being able to fly in, and we didn't want to put people in position of having to choose if they wanted to come or not. So we made it like super tiny, and it was just basically our children, and then my family was able to attend on Zoom. And then about 10 days before the wedding, American Airlines canceled our honeymoon in Nicaragua, so we could not fly anymore. So it was like, how do you find at the last minute somewhere to go? And we totally visited a great part of the country. We went to Maryland, and I'm a water girl, so I wanted water and I wanted to eat seafood, and it was just honestly, it was just fantastic. And I think, you know, when you really, so I was sad at the beginning. I went through all the emotion of, you know, like, oh, this is not how I wanted it. But really at the end of the day, if the biggest of my problem, it's I can't fly to Nicaragua on the date that I want. It's a pretty darn good problem to have these days. And really at the end of this, it was absolutely fabulous. We made the best of it, and we both, you know, very positive people and focusing on gratefulness, and that really helped us out. So that was really a personal success. On the business it was a huge success because we're both entrepreneurs, and be able to take 2 weeks off as entrepreneurs and two people, that was pretty darn cool to see. And we really seen both of our business have grown, but mine especially, it has grown, and I have become way more clear as the experience grow and as I learn about myself and my business. I really realized also during this time that my business had to evolve. So I really took these 2 weeks also to see I have evolved really fast and grew very fast the past 6 months. And as my business has evolved, I really also realized that many people who are following me, many people who are on my email roster, or who are some of the people who were attracted to me are not my ideal clients anymore. So I had to kind of review all of that, and that was pretty cool to see that. It's scary, but it's pretty cool too.
And what I was talking about before about this sort of emotional roller coaster, we'll get to Domenic in a second. What are your thoughts on that? Have you experienced it as well, or was the marriage a distraction, or was it part of the roller coaster?
For me?
Yes.
No, I think the marriage was in a way a part of the roller coaster, because you know you want to do something, and especially when you do it for this, you know, this was our second wedding, so it's not like we wanted it in a certain way. You know, you're not young anymore. You know what you want. You know who you are. We knew we wanted it in our yard. We didn't want to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on people we didn't care about, and so being in the position of not being able to have it the way you wanted it really had us going through this roller coaster, because it was like, well, how many times can you push it around? And I don't believe that things are really going to change that much over the next year. So I didn't want to put us on hold neither, just for an ideal. So that was kind of part of the roller coaster.
Well, it's it's sort of like on Facebook, one of the popular memes is one of the best things about being adult is when you can cancel plans.
Yeah.
Like some people make that their regular routine to cancel plans, and you canceled the most difficult thing to plan. It probably was a big stress remover.
Yes, it
as
was.
well. 100%.
Yeah.
Domenic, do you have your volume back?
I don't know. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now. So we left you off on roller coaster.
Okay, well, I was just going to add to Katia's. It seems like 2020, everybody's plans got canceled, whether they liked it or not. So we had to change things up a little bit. And as far as the roller coaster goes, I feel like it's less of a roller coaster and kind of like driving on a rolling hill. Right. So for me, there wasn't a lot of ups and downs because they didn't really go into the whole you know, losing a job or having somebody who was sick or in my life, dealing with those types of tragedies that a lot of people had to deal with. It's more the transitioning to something different. There are some emotional issues to continue to deal with, is dealing with 3 teenagers who are kind of become disconnected from their friends and their social circle. But it's provided opportunities, I think, that we never would have been able to have without what's going on in 2020. So it's provided me the opportunity to spend more time with my children than I have at any point in my entire life. And I don't think anybody's ever had that opportunity. So I think it creates a great level of family connectedness if you have that for yourself. I mean, in 2020, I got engaged. My business has gone from a local business to a national business. I've made some fantastic connections with people that I hadn't really known very well before, and now these people I call very close friends, people like Clint and Jackie and, you know, and Katia. We're getting a chance to have dinner this weekend. I think that's fantastic, and it's all because of the transitions that we've made during this pandemic, and it's forced us into experiences that we never would have had, and opportunities that we never would have had otherwise. So I don't feel like it's a roller coaster. I think that it's a matter of perspective, and if you look at things from a positive perspective, you're going to see that, you know, as much as people complain about this, it's just I think there's a complaint that there are differences and we're missing some things, but there are things that we wouldn't have had otherwise. So yeah, that's where I am on the roller coaster.
Well, I think that, you know, the people who are on this panel, we're very blessed.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know, so
I did caveat that whole statement by saying that I didn't experience a lot of the tragedies that other people are going through. So I do consider myself to be very blessed and very fortunate not to suffer some of the things that our you know, our members of our community are going through. And I'm cognizant of that fact. And so, you know, I'm here to support people that are having a hard time. In fact, I think Clint and myself and another one of our Rockstar Connect hosts, Scott Rudder, all posted some similar language recently on LinkedIn about, you know, understanding that people in the community are suffering. And if you see this, please reach out and connect. We're here to help in any way we can. And I had people reach out to me, you know, from Cincinnati, Ohio. I had a conversation with somebody yesterday that just needed a pick-me-up because they were feeling beaten down by this whole thing. And by the time we had gotten, you know, 2-3 minutes into the conversation, I feel like, you know, there was this turnaround because there was this impression that, you know, business just can't be done in this environment, and what are you going to do? And I took this person through my virtual sales process, applied it to their business, and just said, do you think this is something that you can do and that you could repeat? And they said, yeah, thank you for this. I didn't. Oh, there's a crowd. I couldn't quite figure out how to transition into doing the same thing that I used to do in a virtual format, and I was really, really struggling. I appreciate you having this conversation with me. But those are the ways that we can give back to people in, you know, providing them some of what we've been able to figure out to be as fortunate as we have in this environment. And
yeah,
you know,
it's tough. I mean, one of my clients, he opened his grand opening of his restaurant was right when we entered phase 2.
Oh yeah, and I can't imagine being a former chef. I can't imagine what it was like to be in the hospitality and restaurant business. I was having a conversation earlier today with the sales director for Marriott International. He does all of the business in the state of North Carolina, and he said even he got furloughed for 3 months, and the only reason he's back now is because they're trying to set up sales for events going forward in the future, so that when phase 3, we do enter into phase 3 and can start having some events and people booking into hotels, that they've already got things lined up and they're not, starting from behind. So it's interesting to see, even people with what you would consider to be very, very secure positions in hospitality, they got battered really, really hard.
Well, that restaurant I was talking about, they just posted yesterday that, thank you for all your support after our grand opening, but we just didn't sell enough tacos and burritos. We're closing down. And, I happen to know that he put $3.5 million into that business. Multiply that by the 15,000 businesses that have closed permanently on Yelp in the restaurant industry. That's a lot of lost revenue. So hopefully, we can support these people and make sure that they can get through this. It's hard. It's hard. You just have to pivot. We look at Rockstar Connect. We're doing over 100 events per month, and now we're doing about 5 events per month, and 5 physical events. But thank God, we have a great network and we have wonderful people that we work with, and we're able to pivot and do other things. We don't sell food.
So can I share a success?
Yeah, please go right ahead.
I was just going to say, share a success that's it could potentially be a success for Rockstar Connect as well. In having that conversation with the sales director for Marriott International, they are very, very interested in hosting Rockstar Connect events on their properties in their outdoor spaces. And, considering we're going into the fall season where it'll be relatively temperate and maybe a great time to do some outdoor events, we may be able to do some live events in some great open and large spaces.
I can think of that would be wonderful to do some rooftop events. We have to talk about that. Yeah. So we made it to the second hour, and now it's everyone's favorite part. Everyone wants to know what the question is. And Mark has joined us, and Caroline and Norma. Sarah found these questions and worked on them, and while I was working this morning, she sent it to me. What is a hard truth? This is the question. What is a hard truth that people refuse to accept? What is a hard truth that people refuse to accept? And I think in our conversation today, we pointed to some of those possible hard truths, so it may make it a lot easier than you would think. Welcome, Norma Hollis from California, expert on helping you find your authentic self. What has been your success for the last week? And then you can jump in and be the first person to answer this week's question.
My success for the last week has been some opportunities that have come across since, I'm a coach host for a group called WBEX, and WBEX is a group of 186,000 coaches around the world. And they do summits every year, and I'm one of 6 hosts that they have. And through that, we're getting great opportunities. But because I hosted a panel that actually they let me put together myself on unconscious bias to help people understand the Black Lives Matter issue. And I had 4 black women coaches mature black women coaches that no one had ever seen 4 black women coaches before. We're all over the place, but for some reason, people didn't know that we existed. So the win for the week is that the WBEX experience as a coach host is just opening all kind of doors for me. I'm going to be hosting, doing some work with Marshall Goldsmith, and he's doing a summit coming up, and he's one of the top coaches in the world. And also doing another unconscious bias event, October 29th. And also it has caused me to change my life's work and focus it more towards diversity. So it's been a pretty big, powerful week in terms of the work that I've been doing all of my life and giving it more substance and more.
It's great how that's just sort of unfolding for you and really finding a new role as well.
Yes, it
What is a hard truth that people refuse to accept?
Well, I guess with my focus on authenticity and diversity, I have to say that the hard truth for all of us to accept is that we're over 99% the same. There's only a small portion of us, less than 1%, that makes us different. And yet we have so many challenges. And even the differences, though, are actually kind of vast. And when you start looking at them, it's a wonder that sometimes we get along with each other because we are so different. But that area of difference is just so minute in terms of who we are in our totality. And sometimes that's hard for people to understand.
That's fantastic. And I'm sure that other people are going to comment on what you had to say as well. Caroline. Caroline is a trainer, not a coach. She's a trainer.
Hey.
Hey, what has been your success in the last week?
My success in the last week has been, and my team's success is we are now back on track and starting to put on live events, live workshops. Very small groups, but we really wanted to get in the momentum. It's kind of like if you build it, they'll come. So we're opening the center. We started doing some very small live groups events. We believe by the end of the year, it's going to get back to more sort of a normal momentum, but it's a huge success. We closed our center at the beginning of, or when was it? April, whenever it all happened. And we've been focusing on one-on-one training. So the success is that we are back to the group stuff, which I love. In a small way, but hey, it's a small start.
Excellent. And what a hard truth that you find the people, I got to say that exactly the way it is. Sarah reached over me to do something technical, and I sort of just lost my spot. What is a hard truth that people refuse to accept?
Well, you know, in my world, truth is relative to the perceiver anyway. Okay, truth is relative to the perceiver, and the perceiver perceives through whatever beliefs they have. So a hard truth is nothing but your own beliefs. Mm-hmm. If you believe it's hard, well, it's hard. And if you believe it's easy, I think Henry Ford said, if you believe you can, you believe you can't, you're right. So in my world, there are no hard truths. I mean, yes, sure, if I get to a red traffic light, I better stop my car unless I really believe I can fly over that intersection. But realistically, your truths create your reality. If you had a hard truth in your reality that you don't like, you change the belief, you can change your reality.
Excellent. This is a good question here.
It's a great question.
Great question. Thank you, Sarah. It's an excellent question. Mark Roberts, welcome. What is the success you've had in the last week?
This week we've been pushing very, very hard to meet an awful lot of folks who would like to be involved with the magazine at North Hills. We're getting some great responses, an awful lot of good contacts. Believe it or not, meeting some new people. I thought I networked enough. I knew everyone, but I guess not. So that's the big.
Are you doing a lot of face-to-face meeting, or is it mostly still over the phone and virtual?
We have a little bit of a mix. I have gotten out there a little bit, but Zoom is really the way that most of them are going. Zoom and the phone. Bringing back the old phone.
I love the phone compared to being on Zoom. So, what is a hard truth that people refuse to accept? And I know you have an opinion on this because you explain, when you've been trying to assist people, there are some truths that they just don't accept.
Yes, I think the one I would throw out is your friends are wrong. That's going to be the hard truth. There's going to be an awful lot of people that just tell you can't do things. In fact, we were just having this conversation moments before we got on. I'm a big believer in the 80-20 rule. You know, that's where you can split down an awful lot of things. And 80% of people are not going to start a business. 80% are going to be employees. 20% are going to be starting the business or operating them. So that being said, there's going to be an awful lot of people that tell you you can't do it. It can't happen because they're in that 80% that are never going to do it. So you have to be careful when you're getting advice from, and I mean this, from good friends, from people that care about you. They don't want to see you fail. So they're trying to discourage you so you don't do it. I mean, for the love of God, you can even have your friends say that when you go on a diet. But that's the big one I would work at. So if you
I'll have to tell you, my brother and I are extremely competitive with one another in a healthy or unhealthy way. I don't know. I can't judge that. But when we started Rockstar Connect, I went and I told him the idea of Rockstar Connect at the time. And he said, wow, what a terrible idea that is. I don't see how that could possibly work. And that was confirmation that I had to do it.
There's both that and there's what people mean is not what they say. For example, a lot of people tell you an idea is stupid because they don't understand it. It's not the idea is stupid. It's I don't understand it. Therefore, since I'm so smart, it's got to make no sense. It's stupid.
Oh, I've never really thought of it that way, but that's
that internal translation. You have to stop and think what people really mean, and very often is going to be completely different than the words they say.
And sometimes you just got to do what you're going to do, whether it's right or wrong, because you need to have that experience and learn.
Absolutely. If you're fans of My Cousin Vinny, and you look at the words that the sheriff said, I shot the clerk when he's reading something back. I used to be an appellate attorney. And it's amazing when you see things that are written and said, you're like, I know they mean the complete opposite of this, but I'm stuck with the written word. What do I do? And that's always stuck with me. And that's why thinking what people really mean as opposed to what they're saying is a big, big starting point.
Well, I think that like Zoom calls and phone calls are really good for you because you do see opportunity and the ability to work with other people. It's very clearly. You don't need it explained to you. I can't think of the exact verbiage that you use, but something along the lines of, well, that's, makes perfect sense. That would be something you would expect Mark Roberts to say. Like, he gets it right away. And, I took a couple calls today and I felt like it was a great day because every person I spoke with, I said to them, you remind me of me. But in a good way. Like sometimes someone reminds you don't want to look in the mirror all the time. But these people, it's just they were people that, take action and have good ideas and are willing to get on a call to role play a situation in order to help a client in common. I mean, that's the best. I mean, isn't it, Domenic, when you get on a phone call with someone and they start talking to you and you say, yeah, let's talk about it this way to help that person understand it, to help them make a decision, and you just gel with one another?
Oh, yeah. It's also fun when you get on the phone with somebody and they start talking. They just make an assumption that this is what the phone call is going to be about, and about 30 seconds later, you guys are talking about what you want to talk about because you are able to do the verbal jujitsu. That's always a fun trick.
What I love is getting on the phone with someone who's a colleague and they share their life hacks, and I get to share like things
that's
with
good
them
too.
That's going to help them be more effective in what they do. Because those aren't secrets that should be. First of all, it's not a secret. Someone else knows those secrets anyway. You probably got it from somewhere else. But if you can help someone else be better at what they do and they appreciate it, that's like a win. That's like even better than getting a check written to you when you meet someone who's like-minded.
I think I pointed out on a LinkedIn post this past week that something that you always told me, your network is your net worth. Pulling out that you stole that from somebody else. And you're like, I'm sure they stole it from somebody else. I don't care.
I
share
took the quote from Gary Vee, but I'm sure Gary Vee took it from someone else. I remember back from high school taking philosophy, and the Greek said, there's nothing new under the sun. There really isn't. I was on Facebook and we were discussing the golden rule, and I guess in the comment thread we were able to trace it back to prehistoric times, written on a cave somewhere. There literally is nothing new.
Actually, that's from Ecclesiastes.
And it goes before Ecclesiastes.
There's nothing new under the sun.
Nothing new. See, well, there you go. That expression predates the Greeks. So what is a hard truth that people refuse to accept, Domenic?
Oh, okay. We're going to go with me. The hard truth I think that people refuse to accept is it's not them, it's you. Right?
Explain that a little bit more so we can.
Yeah. So if something's going wrong and things continue to go wrong for you, and you just can't catch a break and you're not lucky, what's the common denominator in all those scenarios? It's you. Look in the mirror. You got to figure you out. Because if you don't figure you out, then nothing you do to work on anybody else is gonna change. So
that's a hard truth. And even when
it's a hard truth.
Even when you find that truth, it's still hard to get around that truth.
Oh, exactly. Because if you're constantly blaming somebody else for your problems or other people in general for your problems, you have the you have the external locus of control, and the only way you're going to find some improvement in your life is figuring out that, the only person that you can actively change and make that change stick is yourself. You can't make anybody else do anything else. So that was maybe even an older expression. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. Probably not an older expression than there's nothing new under the sun. But I will say that it's equally as a valid piece of information, and the only person that you can force to drink is yourself. So work on you, not them, and things will start to change.
My sister has a wonderful visual for that. She says when you point a finger at somebody else, there are
three pointing back
three
at
more
you.
pointing right back at you.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
That's right.
So I'm going to go over to Jeff, because I always end up leaving him sort of the last to make him feel bad. Jeff, are you there?
I am here. Sorry about that.
Great. Jeff, what is a hard truth that people refuse to accept?
So I'm going to borrow from the best again. Winston Churchill has a phrase, which is, men often stumble over the truth, pick themselves up and walk away as if nothing happened. And that's a very long way to say it's usually the truth that's right in front of you and you're tripping over, but you refuse to see. And so many times in my professional life, for example, I knew it was time to leave a company, or I knew it was time to make a big change, but probably so dedicated towards the perseverance angle that I just if I push a little bit harder, I can work this out. But it's probably the truth that's right in front of you, and stop tripping over it. Stop, pay attention, and try to understand what life is telling you.
Excellent. Thank you, Jeff. Clint, what is a hard truth that people refuse to accept?
So something it took me a while to figure out and accept, and then once I did, I just wouldn't stop. It's that you got to be willing to put in the work. Because if you have a dream, or if you want something to come your way, you can't just sit back and hope that it comes, or sit back and want for it to come. You have to be willing to put in the work, and it's okay to ask for help. If because not everybody can do everything on their own. Actually, nobody can do everything on their own. It's always okay to ask for help. You just have to be strong enough to see that.
Excellent. So I'm thinking about, hard truths. Not everything that you do, one of the hard truths is not everything that you do, even if you work very hard at it and really apply yourself and get the right help and get the right education, are you going to be successful at?
Yep.
And once you accept that hard truth, it's really freeing that sometimes you will fail, and then maybe that will no longer be a failure. Instead, it's an education point. There was something going back to my brother. My brother is he's a culinary expert. He's worked in the restaurant industry, and he's a chef, etc. And I had a concept of a restaurant that I wanted to open. And he had told me never open up a restaurant, especially never open up a restaurant with your own money. That's the worst thing you can do, because you're really throwing a concept out there. A restaurant is a piece of art, and it's not everyone is going to embrace your art. Right, Domenic? So
that's right.
I don't think I ever lost money that quickly in my entire life. Never lost money that quickly in my entire life. But boy, did I get an MBA in why not to open up a restaurant with your own money. I could have, gone to university to study that for a decade, and I would not have learned the lesson. So, hard truth, you're not always going to be successful, but you're sure going to learn a lot in the process. Marjorie. This seems like something that's getting you a little interested. I can see you perking up.
One of my very firm beliefs is that nothing is a failure as long as you learn the lesson it has to teach you. And the only way to succeed in life is to be willing to fail.
Well, certainly, and it strengthens you. And we talk about restaurants a lot on this, and I think it's
a very tough business. I had a cousin in it.
It's a tough business, and I think it's apt. I had a cousin, he used to make his money because he was the working partner, and he had a buyout clause. So whenever things started to go bad, the partner that would put up the money would say, "It's all your fault." And he'd go, "Okay, buy me out," because that's the way he knew most of these transactions would happen. And restaurants are such a hard business, especially now here in COVID. Although some restaurants are doing extremely well in COVID, and others absolutely are not.
Depends on how well they were able to pivot to takeout.
Right. Well, if their food can handle that. I mean, some restaurants have become grocery stores. They sell, a Ruth Chris and Sullivan Steakhouse. They'll sell you raw steak now. They're selling high-end meats at the restaurant as another form of revenue. But Marjorie, what is a hard truth that people refuse to accept?
That there's always enough time to achieve their dreams, and that they don't have to start today. And
that's interesting.
Yeah, I've talked to people who work in hospice, and what they report is that at the end of life, people regret not so much what they did do, but what they didn't do. And I think there are two reasons. First of all, a certain amount of procrastination is involved, and fear. But the other thing is, I think people are afraid to, and I think somebody alluded to this earlier, they're afraid to speak it. Oh, that'll never work. That's stupid. Where'd you get that dumb idea? And people are afraid to put their dreams out there, that they'll get stomped over. And so they don't push themselves out of the jail of their comfort zone, as I like to call it, and reach for that dream and work toward it. So I think that people think that, oh, well, I'll start that tomorrow. And then tomorrow, all the tomorrows are gone.
Well, I don't know if we had a very good conversation, you and I, about 3 years ago. I mean,
we did. You got a better memory than I do. I mean, I'm sure it was a good conversation, but I don't remember what it was about.
Well, maybe it was good for me and bad for you, but we had about a 2-hour-long conversation on the phone. So anything that goes on the phone for 2 hours, that's two people enjoying one another. And I had shared some of my origin stories, and I was a geriatric social worker. And when I was a geriatric social worker, what I found again, and I was very young, I was in my early 20s, and the population I served, when I'm saying geriatric, I'm talking people in their 90s and hundreds, very aged, extremely aged. That was a common theme that I would hear every day: regret. People saying, I wish I had gotten married. I wish I had started a family. I wish I had started a business. As far as, Domenic, I wish I had prepared for my future financially. Regret. And I took that, it smacked me like right in the face. I mean, at that point I said, I'm going to do anything that I want to do when I want to do it. I'm not going to wait. Because if I wait too long, like you said, there's be less and less tomorrows, but also the energy level and the physical ability to do things. I mean, right now I'm doing more in real estate than I probably ever have in my life because of COVID. There's, a big increase in that. And also I can take a little bit of break from Rockstar Connect, but it's physically very exhausting to show property and to drive and to open door locks. So like there's people out there now that say they'd like to become a real estate agent. I said, you know what, don't wait. Go take the test. Go do it. See if you have the chops to do it. For me, I opened up a bookstore. And then it became 4 bookstores because my family would always talk about, and I'm sure you have this, like you had some of your family said, oh, I wish we had a store. I wish we had a family business. And they just never did it. I said, I'm going to do it. And I opened up a bookstore. I used my credit card and my own books, and I begged and borrowed and stole, and I sublet from a gypsy and all these crazy stories. And I was able to do something that I really wanted to do for 15 years of my life. And know what the best part was? Because I started early doing that, I decided, you know what? I did it. I conquered that. Now what's the next thing to conquer?
I don't need to do that anymore.
I don't need to do that anymore.
No. I'm a big believer that periodically it's important to reinvent yourself and reinvent what you do. And now that I'm 80, I've done a few reinventions.
Well, I'm really happy to have you as a panelist today and get.
Oh, thank you.
Get your thoughts on this. And that's a common theme of everyone here on this panel. We've all reinvented ourselves. And Mark was an attorney, and now he helps people starting business. Rena was an actor. We don't say actress anymore. It's actor, correct?
Actor.
An actor. And Domenic was a chef, and so on and so forth. We've all reinvented ourselves. And
well, that keeps life interesting, because I do not understand people who get bored. There's so much to learn in life. In fact, my husband once asked me, when are you going to stop studying stuff and trying stuff? And my answer was, well, when they plant me.
Yeah.
Right? There are so many things on my list of exciting businesses and concepts that I would like to start. And if I can't do them, I'd like to pass them to someone else who can do them, because that's exciting. That's the fun part of being an entrepreneur. Sure, compensation is great and being able to work for yourself, but to be a creator.
And your own boss. Let us never underestimate the joy of being your own boss.
Have you ever heard the expression regarding entrepreneurs or business owners? You work 80 hours a week, but you get to choose those 80 hours that you work.
that could very well be. That could very well be. But I love being an entrepreneur, because when you're an entrepreneur, you're in charge of your life. You choose to me, you choose your mission when you're an entrepreneur. You choose what you feel is important to contribute to this world and how you can help people. And at least that's my definition of an entrepreneur.
Also, everything in your life has more value at that point. So if you're never going to put anything into action and you're not going to share it, that idea that you had is a stupid idea, because no one's ever going to utilize it. You're never even going to think it out or stretch it out, because you're going to stop it. It's a stupid idea. But
well, what's interesting too is sometimes I will talk to people who are afraid to share their ideas, and they'll say, oh, but there's so many other people who do this. I said, yes, that's true. But there are some people who can only hear the message from you, from your unique, authentic voice. And it doesn't matter if there are multitudes of other people in your field. Some people only relate to you. The rest of those people, they're not your people, but there are people who are desperately waiting for you and not opening your mouth and not sharing your message. You are cheating the people who need you.
And how rewarding is it when you meet those people?
Oh, I love helping people.
And it's fantastic when people say, thank you. You're helping me look at this in a different perspective. Gosh, you're going to feel great for days, if not weeks or months, just from a simple...
Yeah, I just did a kind of an exit interview with a client of mine, and he's going to do a wonderful testimonial for me. But when he told me all the ways I'd helped him, I was typing furiously because I didn't want to forget any of it. It's just so gratifying to know that you've helped somebody and made a difference in their life. And from what I've heard of everybody here, you're all in the kind of the changing people's lives for the better business.
It's like we use the term entrepreneur, and it's almost become limited and cliched. I think it transcends that. The people that participate in the networking world and want to connect with other people, they want to do things because they want to create a better world. They're transformers. They're activists.
Right.
Yeah. The greatest revolutions in the world have been started by the middle class, and the middle class produces the greatest amounts of entrepreneurs. Right? Almost brings some tears. Just almost started to cry there a little bit about that, but. The people that do this, what we do, they're very impactful, and I'm proud to count you all as my friends. Jacqueline Wittenburg, what is a hard truth that people refuse to accept?
Well, Stephen, you guys really ramped it up this week with the question. I have many answers to that question, but one of the things is that people go through life every day thinking that they're growing healthy relationships based on the things that people do for them. And I think that is a horrible way to think, because it's not what you do that determines your character. It's the other way around. It's your character, who you are from your soul, who you are, that determines the things that you will do in life that impact other people in a positive way. So I do think oftentimes people get confused thinking that, oh, if I do these nice, pretty, shiny things, that, I'm going to have this person around for me when I need something. And that to me is the worst kind of relationship that you could possibly have. And so I think it's the other way around. It's the character of the person, who they are from the essence of their soul, as to the actions that they take to help other people.
Excellent.
And earlier, Marjorie, you were talking about reinventing yourself. Well, I am the queen of having to reinvent myself. I've traveled for the last 30 plus years following my husband in his career, and each time I've had to jumpstart and reinvent myself to fit in with that environment or to make myself whole again employment-wise. It's been a role, but it's been a learning experience, and I'm very happy in the place that I am right now as a result of those experiences.
Well, it's interesting because your husband is a very impressive person, but what you both are doing right now, he couldn't do without you. There's just no way.
Well, we, for 20-something years, had in the back of our minds to do this, but we didn't want to do it while we were traveling and living all over the country, because I wanted to be here where it all happened for me. And really our mission is based on me, my life experiences as a college student and growing up here and attending college in North Carolina. I struggled financially. And so this is something that's near and dear to my heart. And I remember the first year that we were married, for our first anniversary, my gift was my husband paid off my student loan debt. And people thought I was nuts. Oh, you weren't looking for the big diamond. But no, they have no idea what a great feeling it was to be able to pay back the money that was loaned to me to complete my education. But from that experience, I got this. There has to be a better way. It was still student loan debt that was totally unnecessary if we had more organizations like our foundation that provided grants to that population of students who struggled financially. And so it's been a blessing to come back home. North Carolina is home for me. It's been a blessing to come back here after living on the West Coast in the Northeast. It's just a joy to be able to come back here and give back to my state. Right now it's been mainly local in the Raleigh-Durham, the Triangle area, but we're branching out. But our goal is to reach every institution in North Carolina, students there who need our help. And people sometimes assume that because a person is at a Duke University that has this gigantic endowment that they don't have students who struggle financially. That's not true. So we're here, and we're hoping that we can reach every one of these institutions and help those students, and particularly those juniors and seniors who are so close to finishing, but money is a problem, and so we're here for them. And so it's my honor to do this. It's the least I could do.
Very good. I apologize. I'm going to cut you off because we're having a little technical difficulty with your internet right now. But if we get you back, we'll come right back to you. Rena, what is a hard truth that people refuse to accept?
Well, where my brain went when I heard this question was kind of an existential thing of you can't go back anymore. And I started thinking about that in terms of COVID. Many people are just waiting and hunkering down for life to go back to the way it was. And life is not going to go back to the way it was. When I think about the fires on the West Coast, every year when fire season gets worse and worse, people wait. Eventually the rains will come, the fires will be over, and we can go back. There is no climate change problem. Whenever there are more hurricanes in the southeast, and the hurricanes get more and bigger every year, well, when this hurricane season is over, we'll go back to normal. social justice. As soon as we get past this little glimpse, this little blip, and people relax and settle back, then we can go back to the way we were with our subtle, insipid racism and social injustice. Fully half of our world wants things to go back to a way they used to be, and that tide has passed on every front. Our world is changing. It has changed. And until we wake up and accept the change, it will not move forward in the positive way that it could if we all accepted where we are in the universal timeline of our Earth. Sorry, I didn't mean to go quite that big. But
well, I mean, I'll tell you this. I mean, everyone is only seeing their small part of what the change is going to be from their perspective. But cataclysmic events and pandemics, especially, because, hurricanes are still local. And you may go through a couple states, but it's still local. An earthquake is local. A factory going out of business is local. And they have massive changes locally. This is impacting the whole country.
Yes.
And from my perspective as someone who sells real estate, after pandemics, you can look throughout history, from the beginning of history, after the pandemic, populations move, they're in flux. And it's going to make incredible changes. So I'm getting calls from people from California and Miami, and people from New York are moving to Florida. We are having massive migration of population, not only in the United States, but throughout the whole world.
Throughout the world, yeah.
And very, very, very quickly, because it's expedited by technology and transportation to be able to do that. So I can find a job in another part of the world. So we have no idea what the next few months hold for us.
Yeah, where it's all going to land. All we can do is accept the fact that everything is changing.
But with migration comes also the migration of ideas as well. So it'll have a big impact on different communities. People will be exposed to ideas that they've never been exposed to before. So that can be very, certainly it's very scary, but it's also very exciting. Just my thought on what you're saying.
Absolutely. Yeah.
This is a great question, and we have some great minds here and people that can answer this type of question. Not everyone is sophisticated enough. Before we go on to some fun, just light questions that I want to ask, is there anyone else who would like to comment?
By the way.
Yes, go ahead, Mark.
Along with Rena's comment. When I was being trained as a certified adult trainer for Women's League for Conservative Judaism years ago, by the head trainer of the Girl Scouts of America, by the way, one of the things she taught is the only one who welcomes change is a wet baby. And I heard somebody say, yeah, and sometimes not even that.
Well, in trying to prevent change, you actually have change. You do. And, so when people say, I want it to remain exactly the way it is, first of all, it's not going to happen. It's not going to remain the way it is. But you, in attempting to make it remain the same way, is going to cause change in and of itself. In your situation, you're going to change your job, where you live, how you conduct yourself, etc.
And more personal torment. The more you resist change, the more you suffer personally from not accepting the inevitable.
Well, that's
what you resist persists.
Right, but that suffering is just like what Marjorie was talking about with failure. There is no such thing as failure. Suffering always produces something as well. I grew up with members of my family that were survivors of the Holocaust, and they had certain qualities that they achieved because of their suffering. Survival and ability to think beyond just the moment. And so these things that are happening are really transforming our entire society. And we don't even know it so much because we're in our houses, right? Once we start interacting with one another on a more frequent basis, I think it'll be more obvious. Norma, I always love to hear your opinions and thoughts after other people have spoken. So would you like to comment some more on the question or the discussion?
Well, it made me think about some research that I've heard about recently from the New England Journal of Health. And that is that the most productive decade of human life is between 60 and 70. And the second most productive decade of human life is between 70 and 80. And the third most productive decade is between 50 and 60. So essentially everything before 50 is just practice. But we really, and those of us that have been talking, and Marjorie and your experiences, it's not till we really get older that we understand what we've been through and what we've done and the value of it. And most young people that I tell that to are just so relieved because the anxiety that they feel about, I should this, or I should be doing this. I'm 30 years old, I should be, I should. And I have to remind them, just slow down, It's just practice. You don't really hit your stride or really understand why you're here, what your purpose is, and really what all this has been leading to until you get past 50. So it's a very calming effect, I think, to understand that.
Before, I know, Rena, you want to say something, and so does Caroline. But before you do, it's like, so Sarah and I, we're different decades. But so I've had a lot of experience that comes with age. And she has the energy and idealism that comes with her age. So she gets to borrow my experience, and I get to borrow her energy and idealism. And if it wasn't for that, we would never, neither one of us individually would have come up with Rockstar Connect. I mean, we might have had
that makes great partnership, though. That's great partnership. That makes a great
partnership. And I think that, prior to COVID, a lot of people dismissed millennials and they dismissed Generation Z. Now we're living with that, right? They're there in our house. There are more people living with their parents under the age of 30 than ever in history. And we have to take that as an opportunity to learn what their truths are to help us get to the next level. Mm-hmm. Before I get to you, Rena, Carolyn.
Yeah, I kind of just hitting on what Rena said about you can't go back. It's very true. I mean, because all we have is the present moment. The past is a memory. The future is a whatever it is, a fantasy, or you don't really know, but all you have is right here, right now, in this moment. And all we can deal with is right here, right now. And that ability just to be here now gives you the resources to handle the pandemic or whatever gets created.
I think things change. I think you're 100% right.
Yeah.
I feel like usually I like to have a 5-year plan. What's going to happen in 5 years? I feel very comfortable now with a 6 month to 1 year plan. I feel very comfortable with that and accomplished that I've been able to achieve that. And because that's all that's going to be offered, right?
Well, I do believe in having a vision and working towards something, but you also have to be flexible and have the ability to pivot. But, we are moving into a new age. In the work we do believe we're moving into a golden age, an age of enlightenment, and all of this chaos, the fires, the disease, the whatever's going on is just everything that's got to burn out for us to step into that new age. We're getting out of the information age. So whatever's going on now, my belief is 2, 5, 6, 10 years, you're going to look back, not everyone, but a lot of people will look back and go, wow, that 2020 was probably the best year we ever had in terms of change. It's been a lot of suffering, a lot of loss, a lot of grief for a lot of people, but sometimes we've got to kind of go through that. That end of the Shawshank Redemption is coming to mind.
What you're talking about with the information age, we have this feeling that that we're separate and we're different and we totally disagree with one another. But because we're sharing information, we're finding, well, I really hate that SOB, but I see his point there. I can take that. That's truth, even though I disagree with him most of the time. We're getting that ability now. I'm going to go to Rena, and then I'm going to go to Domenic. Go ahead, Rena.
Well, I found what Norma shared about the progressive decades of our lives allowing us opportunities to be better and better and more productive, which kind of begins to explain why, as I am maturing, I get more and more focused with each decade and more clear about why I have been put on this earth. And I also took a great deal of comfort from what Caroline said about the potential for the coming decades to be so much healthier than previous decades if more of us tune in to the possibilities and look at it as positive and a chance for unity, and not something that is going to tear us apart, with each one of us fighting for what little we perceive is left for us. So I took a great deal of comfort from both.
Well, it's like what Norma was saying. It's like when you're a child, you celebrate. Not only do you celebrate your 1 year when you're 1 year old, you celebrate when you're 1.5 years old. And you celebrate these big birthdays, like you're 18, that's a big celebration, and then you're 21, and then you're 30, and then you start like not celebrating those birthdays
so much.
It's like, I'm 38, I'm not going to celebrate that I'm 38. It's not that big of a deal. But then you hit 80, you should probably celebrate every birthday, because you're blessed. 80, every birthday is a big birthday, and you should celebrate that. What's your thoughts on that, Marjorie?
My thoughts are that every year is a blessing.
Every year is a blessing. And
not only that, when I tell people I'm 80, they say, well, first of all, I say, well, you don't look like you're 80. And I quote, I paraphrase Gloria Steinem with, this is what 80 is supposed to look like. But then I also add onto that I intend to be the most fabulous 100-year-old babe you ever met. And the reality, and the person who is like my idol is a gal by the name of Ruth Adler Schnee. Her family was a very artistic family in Europe, and they escaped before the Nazis got to their country. And she trained as an architect in the next cubicle from Minoru Yamasaki. And she couldn't get a job as an architect when she graduated because she was a woman. So she entered this contest for designing a house, and she designed a contemporary house long before they were popular. And she couldn't find any fabric that would look good in it, so she designed some fabric. And somebody who was building a car agency fell in love with her fabric. She ended up with this fabulous career as a fabric designer. A few years ago, at the age of 91, she signed a 10-year contract with a couple of fabric houses, and at 97, she's still designing fabric. So, I think, Norma, let's hear it for 90 to 100 too, and 80 to 90.
Well, I mean, we're talking about some big subjects here now, age, and we're also talking about gender as well. What always I take a lot of phone calls during a day. I get the opportunity to speak to a lot of people regarding opportunities and business and philosophy, and I feel like such a transformation from when I was younger. What was a role for what was a woman's work and what was a man's work? It's just changed so drastically. It's not even something that registers, and when it does, it's like, wow, boy, how did we used to do work that way in the past to completely keep people out of an industry, out of a business, etc. And now we've gone beyond that. So it's
when I was growing up, if you were a female, was a nurse or teacher. Period.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
And when I floated the idea to my parents, gee, I think it might be interesting to be a lawyer. No, you don't want to be a lawyer. And that's really interesting because my mother's 3 older sisters were all suffragettes. And they were suffragettes in the state of Connecticut. And their boss was Katharine Hepburn's mother. She ran the suffragette movement for the state of Connecticut, which I think is a wonderful piece of, I don't even want to call it trivia. I just think it's an interesting pice of information.
No, it's great.
It is.
It's great to meet people. And when I worked at the senior center, that was like the most exciting thing. I had one client who, when he was a small boy, he worked in the silent movie theaters. He played the piano. And he used to sleep inside of the piano at the end of the night. These are things. A woman
that was the Depression then.
I had a woman who was the third woman to graduate from medical school in the United States. Just very interesting stories and interesting people. Domenic, I'll give you the last word on this subject, and then Mark, I'm going to ask you just something a little light, if you're okay with that. Go ahead, Domenic.
Oh man, this whole coming of age conversation is really interesting because I think my perspective is going to be a little bit different because I think generationally I'm a little bit different. So background on this, I'm not Generation X. I'm not a millennial. I come from a micro generation that's kind of in between that 1976 to 1983. It's no, I'm not an elder millennial. No, I'm not a millennial, not technically a millennial, not technically Gen X. There is a micro generation in the middle, and so that generation is the last generation that knew a world without internet, that knew a world without constantly having a cell phone in your pocket at all times, but also grew up as a digital native because the internet did start to become really popular when I was in high school. And so I got to learn all those things and come into this generation. So people that are a little bit older than me are constantly asking me, oh, how do I do this on social media? How do I do this with my computer? I don't know, but I mean, I kind of was immersed in it, but I still know what it was like to, when your parents told you that you couldn't go outside, that was a punishment. Now your parents tell you to go outside as a punishment because all kids want to do is sit in the house and play their video games and those sorts of things. So I think that the perspective on age, it's universal, but it changes based on the circumstances. And now, it's incredible to see, what the millennials have been through. You think about it, they were born into a world where, in their teenage years, there was the largest terrorist attack on U.S. soil, and then as they graduated from college, they were greeted by the largest economic downturn since the Great Depression, and now that they're parents and raising their own kids, they've got this massive global pandemic that we haven't seen since 1918. So every generation faces its challenges, but you just become stronger through it, and then you impart that knowledge on future generations. But yes, I do agree with Norma. Like, the older I get, the more focused I become, because it becomes clearer, I think, what's important in life, and you get rid of all the noise of the things that are want tos in the moment. You get rid of the noise of years, like when you're in your teens, 20s, and maybe even early 30s, pent up hormones that are driving your decision making, and you really can start to be very clear about what your goals are and how to accomplish those things. So I mean, even me, I'm in my early 40s. Me 10 years ago could never do what I'm doing today. It's like, it wouldn't have happened. I was too scatterbrained. There were too many things out there that now I know didn't matter at all, that I just couldn't have gotten past. And I can't imagine, like 10 years from now, how I'm going to look back at myself now and go, he never should have been doing that. He should have been, but the clarity that comes is phenomenal, and it does change your perspective. So yeah, I'm actually looking forward to aging and becoming the best version of myself.
Lovely.
Great. You brought up, you talked about, and it just struck something I was thinking about earlier this week about, you lived through the war on terror, and I lived through we had the war on drugs, and what we're finding in retrospect is these were all really terrible, stupid wars, and we failed, and a lot of people were casualties because of them. I hope we're not, I'm hoping that we don't enter into a war on pandemics and war on this and war on that, and we can just break that cycle.
I just hope that we can break this cycle that seems to be forming where there looks like there's a war on each other.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to stop that. Like, we're all just trying to get through this thing called life. And, you know, I don't care who you are. If you ask for help, I'm helping. You know, I don't care if you're, you know, a Republican, a Democrat, a police officer, an African-American person who's being wrongly prosecuted for something. I don't care if you're rich or you're poor. If you ask me for help, on the condition of you being a human being, I'm going to do my best to give you the help that you're asking for.
Or you're going to offer the help without them asking. If you see someone who needs help,
if I see that, yeah, absolutely. But, you know, sometimes what somebody needs isn't readily apparent, and you know, you need to ask for it, which is why, you know, one of the things that I've found most powerful in business is to be open to people about what you need and ask for it. And you're going to be shocked at how often you are given that thing you were asked for.
Well, now, if you help everyone, you can do business with everyone too. That's a side benefit as well.
Sure.
Don't limit yourself to who you can associate with and who you can enjoy, and also who you can make money with. 'Cause,
right.
You know, we can't just live on platitudes. We also have to buy the groceries.
Yeah, I will say that there are some certain boundaries you do have to draw within that. So
of course, with extremism.
Can't. Yeah, exactly. So that has to. I mean, you can't, and also negativity, right? People that are negative and suck energy, you kind of. That's another thing that becomes clear as you get older.
It's interesting. You know, I have a sort of a different view on that because I have a technique I use called love bombing.
Yeah.
And some of my best clients that have become my best clients, my best referrers, could be thought of as some of the most negative people you've ever met. And when I've invested that extra time in them, more often than not, it's been to my advantage.
I think there's maybe a difference between a difficult client and a challenging client, and maybe somebody who has a more nefarious purpose. Those people just, you know, they expect, they have higher expectations, and that's okay. If you meet those expectations, you're golden. There's other people that it's impossible to satisfy, and love bombing or not, they're looking for attention. And that's the kind of toxicity that maybe you kind of draw boundaries on, and that's the noise and the drama.
I think this is a good question.
Yeah.
You know, where do you draw the line? Where's the limit of who
maybe that's next week's conversation.
Maybe that's next week. Hey, so we only have a very brief time until I say goodbye to all of you. Mark, have you read a good book? Or have you seen a good TV show in the last week that you want to share with us?
We binge watch shows. We're on The Mentalist right now, so don't tell me how the series ends. I'm a little bit behind. That's
I love that series.
Sarah and I have done an incredible accomplishment. It was a 1.5-year journey. We finished it last night. It was exciting, but also disappointing that we finished it. We watched every episode of Cheers from all 11 seasons.
I watched that religiously.
If you want a real marathon, watch all the episodes of The Simpsons.
Well, that's, you know, I'm not a glutton for punishment. But
we're wrapping up our 1.5-year journey right now. We're pushing our 2-year anniversary. According to my phone, it says next week. So
congratulations.
I feel like I went on it with you.
I'll tell you, Cheers, it holds up. It's still very funny and teaches you a lot about human nature and friendship. So if you do want to cheer yourself up right now, you know, Cheers, they have all 11 seasons on Hulu.
And they talk right there, too. I like that.
You know, and it's funny because they really don't have that many Bostonian accents.
I want people to understand it. That's why. You sit down for people.
What I found is almost, you know, because it was such a popular show, anybody who was an extra on that show is somebody who was probably famous. And they were from like Hollywood in the 30s or 40s. So if you go back through and you like to drop into that, Wikipedia rabbit hole of famous celebrities, politicians, etc., they were on that program, and it's a lot of fun. Hey guys, it's after our time broadcasting, and it's going to turn off soon. So I'm going to wave goodbye to all of you, and I welcome you all back again. Thank you, Marjorie. We really enjoyed you coming back, and we'd love to have you again. Same time, same place next week, Tuesday, 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern time, 3 Martini lunch. Thank you. Oh, wait, did you see the dog, guys?
See the doggo.
Oh,
what a sweetie.
Crush.
Oh.
The entire episode today.
Everybody save the chat. 3 dots at the bottom.
And I'm going to be singing. She likes to hear me sing lullabies, or he does rather, all night long. Okay, guys.
Drink plenty of water. Keep your vocal folds in good shape.
I haven't had enough today, for sure. Talk to you guys soon. Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Nice meeting you all.